hope. But I just wanted a couple things. One is we'll just extend our range a little bit down below middle C. So we'll add a couple of notes there. And I just also wanted to just review a few things that we talked about early on. And just to remind you, thank you all for your videos, and you're sounding really good. And I just want to remind some of you, because I can't always see what's happening with your right hand position. That's one thing. So if you're not showing me your right hand position, I trust that it's doing what it should do, which is not blocking the bell. And the other thing is just to remember to hold the horn away from your body. So, I mean, if it's resting on your leg, it has a tendency to kind of, see how stuffy that sounds? So away from your body, off the leg will make that much easier. If you're on the leg, or if your student is on the leg, remember they have to bring the horn to themselves. So if they're big enough that they can hold it off the leg, that's better. Because if it's on the leg and they're starting to do this, then that will it'll mess everything up. Won't be good for their breathing, won't be good for their sound, won't be good for their overall posture. So if they're playing on the leg, just maybe try and get them to move the right leg over the corner of the chair so that it's directed, that sound is directed away from them, away from this. All right? So same goes for you. So nice open sound. All right, so that's reminder number one. Then, yeah, there are a few little issues with breathing, and I just wanted to add a step. So I know you're all thinking a lot now about the inhaling and how you release that air, but let's just add one step before the inhaling, and that is to exhale while you're not playing yet. So while you're preparing for your first note, so just think, air out, then air in. So air out, air in. And those early Clevenger pages, I think I neglected to explain to you what that V actually means. So it's not a breath mark. The breath mark is the little comma that comes after the V. So in those early attack and release studies, those very first notes that he has you play, you might see a whole bar rest with nothing happening, no notes, just a whole rest, except a whole note rest, except that there's these two markings. So one of them is to exhale, and that comes first. Exhale, so then inhale, the little comma, then release. So I want you to try some of those early studies again, using that technique to see if that helps you with the third step, which is the release of the sound, to see if that helps free up your sound a little bit. Okay, so going down from C, I've got page 19 up from the book, and we're gonna, the first note below C, well, we've already added B natural, so along comes B flat. Now I think it's really interesting that Mr. Clevenger started with the C major scale and introduced the B natural before he added the B flat, because in my experience teaching grade 6, grade 7, even grade 8 band horn players who are in those levels, a lot of them have never actually seen a B natural before, because all that band music is in flat keys, E flat, B flat concert. And so every time they see a written B, it will have the B flat in the key signature, and they will just automatically put down first valve if they see B. So you almost have to, you know, explain to them that there's this other B that exists. It's a B natural and it's second valve. And I think that's why I kept yelling out B natural in the early videos. You were probably wondering, why would I say that? Well, I say that because a lot of kids, you know, they just need to have that explained to them. Not every B is a B flat. So thank you, Mr. Clemenger, for adding the B natural first. Now we move to B flat. So just going down, I've had some questions about attacking these lower notes, and it's just it's just a matter of the muscle memory, knowing where that spot is, where the lips are going to sort of grasp the note. So you have to train them, and we'll start by going down chromatically from C. So on the top of page 19, it's just C, B, and then B flat. You can slur down there, you can tongue down there. And then these 3 or 4 repeated notes in a row with the rest in between are also really, really helpful in any range, actually, as just sort of, again, training your lips to know that feeling. And as you go lower, I'm talking quite a bit lower now, but when you get down to that octave, the tongue actually will move between the teeth, and it just to make those really low notes speak, because look what it's doing to the size of the aperture. It's really opening things up. So you have to think about making more of an open cavity, a larger cavity, and so separate your teeth a little bit, keep your jaw down. That's a big one too. Just try and keep your jaw low, separate your teeth, then blow nice warm air, or more slow moving. However, it does take a lot of air, even though it's moving more slowly than the higher notes, because it's going through that bigger space. So I'd love you to try the next couple of pages. We've got B flat, first valve, of course. Then the next page, putting it into practice, and then we'll add our low A and our low G on page 21. Sorry, there's G there. The whole note with the fermata, as long as you can possibly make it without losing control of your sound. Okay, and then those exercises, they're so helpful in any range. That one where you just try and maybe play 5 in a row perfectly. So good start. Just because if you make yourself do 5 in a row, that's just, you're doing it more. So it's more training, it's more muscle memory building. So 5 in a row, any range. There's your upper G. And as you go even higher, it becomes more important to practice these things. If you heard the opening of the Bruckner Symphony that I posted last week, I think the Brahms, the Bruckner, and then the Tchaikovsky. So that Bruckner and the Brahms, but the Brahms is an octave lower. So the Brahms starts on the lower F. So that's not quite as risky. As you go higher, it becomes a little bit more perilous. And when you're when that sound just has to emerge out of, strings playing tremolo, and then you have to just make it speak perfectly up in that upper register, it can be a little bit of a scary thing. And again, it's just what we've been doing. So and then so it's slurring down a fifth, right? I hope you all listen to that. Anyway, so slurring down a fifth, it's not a big deal when we're just practicing our harmonic slurs. But in that context, you really have to have the security of knowing exactly what that piano F entry at the top of the staff feels like, to be able to pull that off without being terrified. So, and I have a really great illustration I'll share with you. My colleague out in Edmonton, Megan Evans, she did a great, it's quite a long, like a solo lecture and recital at the very beginning of this pandemic out in Edmonton on the Winspear Center stage. Beautiful stage, beautiful acoustic. Anyway, it was quite funny, it was interesting. You can look her up if you want. And she gave an illustration of how to explain what it's like to play the French horn to a pianist. And so I'm going to share that with you too. So yes, just pages 19 to 21, if you're able to. And if you're not there yet, then just keep moving forward with wherever you're starting. And again, just always go back to the basics. Always go back to your harmonic slurs and to your 5 perfectly repeated notes, and you should see some progress starting to happen. Okay, thanks. Have a nice week. Have a good little break, and I'll see you next time.